Cleveland native George Flanagan sharpens his pool cue every time he has a chance. Recently, he took part in an experiment to sharpen a totally different cue,
Your task is
the auditory cue in his brain.
And this is one that's really kind of a challenge.
dig.
The experiment was fun. All he had to do was play a video game.
Click on the boy.
The game is called The Brain Fitness, and the residents at the Grand Lake Gardens retirement community are some of the leading players.
Lucy Himmel is 85, and she plays the game 5 days a week.
I go shopping usually with a friend on Tuesdays, but I made it up on Saturday morning or Sunday morning.
The 8-week program is intensive. Researchers wanted to know, can the brain really change if people exercise it every day?
They went through the technology of it, and I just thought it just really sounded like a good idea.
The good idea flew in the face of the old dog new tricks theory. Here, the research and development director at Posit Science, Dr. Joe Hardy, explains what neuroscientists used to believe.
After a certain critical period of youth, your brain is essentially hardwired in a certain way. In other words, it couldn't fundamentally change the way that it operated. This sort of notion was really turned on its head by a lot of research.
That research suggested that the brain can change. Neuroscientists call it brain plasticity.
The idea of brain plasticity is that at any age, the brain can fundamentally reorganize the way that it processes information.
Every now and then everybody loses a word, and you can't think of something you wanted to say.
What is happening to Lucy is typical and normal in elderly age.
As we get older, the representation of information in our brains becomes somewhat more fuzzy. It's less clearly represented. So things that you hear, things that you see, are not crisply represented in the brain.
In other words, the brain distorts the information that goes into our memory. One of the leading neuroscientists in this research is Dr. Michael Merzenich from UCSF.
Basically, in the first part of life, you're in a period of sort of aggressive continuous learning, acquisition of skills and abilities. And at some point in life, you basically make a transition of just being a user of those overlearned skills and abilities.
The result of using certain parts of the brain over and over and abandoning the other parts eventually change the nature of the brain. So the functions that you don't use regularly are likely to be diminished.
And that's sort of the negative side of brain plasticity. On the positive side, through intensive exercise and doing the right type of exercise at the right time, you can actually transform the way that the brain is processing information in a positive way.
We hope this gives you...
Now researchers of these universities have developed ways to change the wiring of the brain to better serve the elderly.
Two sound.
You can learn new things. You can teach, people new tricks at any age.
The discovery that put smiles on scientists' faces led them to intense work.
And the task is to retrain the brain to represent information that it's trying to deliver to memory more precisely and more powerfully and more completely.
First, the scientists focused on the neurons, or cells in the brain, that process sound.
Your brain's ability to understand...
We looked at the way that you can transform the representation of information in those neurons. And we built exercises that specifically target the processing that's going on in those cells.
Thinking and remembering.
For the sake of simplicity and the ability to accurately control the process, the exercises take the form of a video game.
I actually don't know anything about a computer.
For many, even dealing with the computer mouse was a challenge.
Because I've never used a computer.
This fact didn't stop scientists from creating computer-based exercises.
The presentation of these stimuli needs to be exact to the millisecond in order to drive the types of discriminations that we want to drive in the right parts of the brain that we want to target.
I improved in all the categories, some better than others. Some I would have liked to have improved even more.
Now Lucy knows how to use the computer. Moreover, she enjoys playing the game, especially since she knows she could be moving her brain to a higher level of fitness.
In order to really drive brain plasticity, you need to follow the principles that we've laid out in terms of speed, accuracy, adaptivity, generalizability, and engagement of neuromodulatory function.
What it means is you have to work at it.
Well, it's like working out at the gym, and I just felt better. And it was interesting, what's fun was the other people I talked to had the same feeling, you know, you just felt better.
Okay, we're gonna do it again. There are some commercial video games that claim to sharpen your thinking.
Blue or black.
But just getting you to think is not going to fundamentally reorganize the way that the brain processes information.
So use it or lose it is not enough, scientists say. How to use it effectively is their main concern. Now the science team is working on the back of the brain where it processes visual information.
These sort of 5 modules are sort of the roadmap of training programs that we're going to develop. This is just the beginning, and it's early days. We have proven efficacy, but it's really the infancy of this endeavor.
But when all 5 modules are created, as scientists hope, we will not just feel better, we will think better as we age. And that is welcome news for the 80 million baby boomers heading into their golden years.